my level best to make the session interactive and alive. So please bear with me for the next 40 to 45 minutes. So I hope by the end of your precious 50 minutes on this sunny Saturday, you will be confident enough to orchestrate your integration requirements between Dynamic 365 offerings for your customers or for your own organizations in more prominent way to get the best return for your time and money. I would like to briefly introduce myself here, then I will start with the agenda for the session. My name is Ambesh Singh. Currently, I'm working with KPMG Deutschland as a Dynamic 365 architect and a technical manager within Microsoft practice. Prior that, I worked with the Pearson VUE and EA Sports, and mostly in my career, I worked with Microsoft in different product groups, global consulting, and deliveries. I'm also proud 365 Saturdays community ambassador. You can reach out to me or connect to me any of my social media. Let's see the high level of agenda for today. I will do my best to cover as much as I can do via demos rather than running slides. So we will start with the very usual user scenarios, try to find out the optimal proposal for that, and see some golden tips for provided offerings, which everyone should know before modeling and implementing. And then I will open the floor for the Q&A. So let's start with the business requirement. So Easy Trainer is a 12-year-old corporate business and technical training provider company based in UK, headquartered in London, operating from 55 different countries. They're using Dynamics 365 CE for incorporating all the master data and running complex business requirement into it. They're using Business Central, which will fulfill their requirements for the modern solution, like as a model solution for all the modern business needs. The company need to integrate CE and the Business Central. Is it want to scale up or scale down the resources based on their uses? And they also want a capability to monitor every ins and out if they need it. The company has a lot of process and checks before pushing any of the records from CE to the financial system, as they are looking for the reliable solution. The security for the data is on high priority. They are not going to compromise anything related with that. And data need to be synced always, like kind of the real-time syncing. EasyTrainer have multiple business central instances and master data between them. They need to be identicals always. And the integration platforms can be maintained by the local IT groups. So it's easy for the maintainability. They want to build it very quickly before the new financial year. So the timeline is also playing an important factor here, and so on. So I would say there are always the multiple dimension for any of the problem, and so for the solutions. There are different ways to handle and fulfill any of the requirements. So nothing is best, nothing is worst. It depends on what is suited for your requirement specific. What we will do today? So we will see one of the cloud offering from Microsoft, and yes, it's a Azure Logic app. I will not elaborate about more about the Business Central, as we have a great lineups for the speakers to talk about that. And also, I will not talk much about the dynamic CE, but for sure, I will give you all the touch points what would be required. So I will focus more about why we should use OData and the REST APIs if we have already Business Central connectors available out of box in Azure Logic Apps to integrate with any of the available system, and where we can find OData and the REST APIs, which is in Business Central, what point we need to consider while implementation, and so on. So I will use a small Azure function in my demo, Azure key vaults to store configurable values in a secure way, and mostly Azure Logic Apps. I will also use Postman to show some of the APIs call before that, please help me out to know that how familiar are you with the Azure Logic app. So I can start from that level. Maybe you can use your chat window and please rate L100 to L500. And also feel free to write if Logic app is very new to you. So I will cover some of the basics. Yeah, I'm expecting. Yeah, thank you. Maybe more. So I would be aware about my audience. Okay, great. Mhm. Yeah, I would wait for another 10 seconds. Thanks all for responding. That's great, Shankar. Okay, thanks for your responses. So let's start with what is Azure Logic App. So as per the Microsoft, Logic App is a cloud service that helps you to schedule, automate, and orchestrate tasks, business processes, and the workflows whenever you need it to integrate apps, data, system, and any services across the enterprise or the organizations. The next question is why? You don't have to worry about building, hosting, scaling, managing, maintaining, and monitoring your apps. Logic App handles these all the concerns for you, plus you only pay for what you use based on your consumption model. How Logic App works. So every Logic App works start with a trigger which fires when a specific event happens or when the new available data meet a specific criteria. We will see this in more detail soon. And the most important, where to start from. You can build the Logic app visually with the Logic App Designers, which is available in Azure portals, through your browsers, or in Visual Studio as well. Honestly, I haven't used the Visual Studio to build Logic apps, but you can do just in case if you need it. For me, build apps over the Logic App Designer is much more easier, convenient, and cleaner. So also costs play the significant role while deciding the solution. So for Azure, we have a two pricing, like Azure Logic App, we have a two pricing model available, pay as use and fixed cost. The first one is a consumption pricing model. So run in the that consumption pricing model run in the public or the global Azure Logic App services. You pay only for what you use. In your Logic app, each steps, I will just show in the system very soon. So in your Logic apps, each steps in a action, and Azure apps meters all of these actions that run in your Logic app. The another important aspect is the fixed pricing model, and an integrated service environment, which usually called ISE, provide a private, isolated, and a dedicated way for you to create and run Logic apps that can access resources in Azure virtual network. For your Logic apps that run inside ISE, you pay a fixed monthly price. Every time a Logic app definition runs the trigger, actions and the connector executions are metered. So like you need to pay for every action runs, then there's a standard connectors in that, there's an enterprise connector for that, and I will share the pricing list, so how much is cost, and you will get to know very soon, but it is very minimal. And what Microsoft not charge from you. So any of your action in your Logic app, if it is skipped due to unmet conditions, or maybe the action you don't like that don't run because of Logic app stops before finishing it, maybe because of exception or some other criteria, it exit out. But you have to pay for the action that run inside the loops. As your Logic app counts each action for each cycle in the loop. So example, you have a loop for each loop or something, and you have 5 action inside that one. So it doesn't mean that that you have to pay the charges for the 5 actions single time. So if it is a loop, if it is running 1,000 times, then your action will be multiplied by that, and you need to pay the charges for all of the iterations. So let's jump into the system now, and I can show you a few brief about that one. Okay, so just give me a second. I will just pop up my browser here, and if anybody can please confirm if it is visible to everyone. Um, so my browser is visible to you. Okay, thank you. So where to go? We just need to type portal.azure.com, and sorry, this is the starting point, like any of the cloud offering or Azure. So you just need to go to the portal.azure.com. Just give me a second, let it load. Okay, so you will get a UI something like this once it will be loaded, and probably your dashboard or home screen. Here you get an option to create a resource. On the left navigation also you get an option to create a resource. So you can just click it anywhere. So I just click on the create a resource. It will give me the template to start with. I just type the LogicApps there. So just choose the LogicApp from the list. You will get an option to create it, like a create button here. Plus you will get few of the basic documentation links. So it's always recommended to, if you are starting and if you're very beginner in that one, please go and check it out, the documentation, solution overview, plus pricing detail. So I just clicked on the create. This is the next screen, which is really important. You need to understand. So you need to select your subscription. So if you have 2, 3 or more than that subscription, you need to find out the right subscription for you. Then you need to opt out the resource group. So resource group, finding the right resource group is really important, because logically you need to, and you should contain all of your logic app and its related connectors and everything in a single resource group, because it's easy to maintain and monitor later on. So for me, just an example, I just choose one of the resource group from here, and then you need to give the logic app name. And please note it down. Naming convention play a important role, like other applications or the programming languages here as well. So be very cautious about when you are naming your actions, your variables in the logic app, or even if you're giving the logic app names here, because later on it's really hard to find out if you are not following the naming convention. Just an example, if you added 5 logic apps here and all of doing the same functionality, pulling your data from the Dynamics CRM or CE and pushing it to the Business Central, and names are very much identical, then there is no way to find out with the naked eyes. Then you have to open the logic app, you need to go and see the connections, and then you will be able to find out, okay, what connections are there, which instance it is targeting, which organization it is like notifying. So be very cautious about that one. For me, I would just say, like an example, if I'm just using for the dev or the testing, I would start with that and push data from CRM, CE to Business Central, something like that. You can use this. You need to choose the region, or if you have the ISE environment available with you, you can opt either one of them. My current model is the consumption-based model, so I have to choose the region. Definitely, you need to choose your nearest region where you're going to deploy that and where your customer belongs, and most of the operations are happening there. So it's really important for you. And after that, you need to review and create it from there. So I would give a pause here, because the moment I will create it, I don't want to just put a garbage in terms of the demo. I have few already predefined or pre-built logic apps available. I can show you there. But the idea is that, like, the moment you will click on the review and create here, it will take some time, maybe around 5 seconds to 25 seconds, and then you are able to reach out to your resource. like it will just deploy everything for you. So here I would quickly go to my resource group and see if I have something already available there, so I can show you the brief about that. Okay, so just a second. Let me just pull out anything from there. Something like this. So the moment you will be able to create your own Logic app, your screen will be look like this. A moment. Just bear with me. It will take maybe 5 to 10 seconds to load out. So meanwhile, it is loading. If anyone have any question, so in the chat window. If not yet, then yeah. Okay, so I can start here. So this is something your screen look like. So you have a top toolbar controls available there, like you can export, clone, you can disable, delete, you can edit your Logic apps, you can refresh it to see the latest run or something. So these are the option available. Then you have some overview here. So in the overview, you can see which resource group is you are having, what kind of subscription you have, then few details about your runs, like last 24 hour, how many you have successful and the failed run, the status for that Logic app. Then it also contain the definition, which is really important. Like currently it's a blank, so it has 0 triggers and the 0 action. The moment you will add few things here, then it will increase the count accordingly. And then you have a left navigation here on the Logic app, which is like a basic stuff here. Like if you need to see something of your workflow settings, and if you are looking something for your diagnosis, the logs, you need to and like enable the alerts for that. So few basic settings you will find it over the left pane. Um, Two more important thing here before we start. So I can go with the Logic App Designer from here as well, or from the pen icon on the top. Like if you just go and click the edit icon, this window will be popped out to you. So a second, should not take more time. Okay, by the time it is popping up, just let me show you a few things here. So if I just click on the edit, or if something is already available, just give me a second. I think something should be open. So meanwhile, guys, if you have any queries, then please post it out over the chat window so I can utilize the time. Okay, bear with me. So meanwhile, it is loading. I can just start with few basic stuff. So whenever you create the Logic app, you Logic app need to be initiated on some trigger points. So basically, we have 3 trigger points available. Um, the first one is the pooling. So it pulls all the data. I will show you that one. Like my example is based on that. The second one is the HTTP trigger based. So HTTP trigger based, or like the web hooks notifications triggers is also available there. So you can go and opt for that one if your business need is accordingly to that. And third one is the scheduler. So if you need to schedule your Logic app runs, an example, if you need to run every overnight, or if you need to run the if you need to run on every month end, like for the salary calculation or something like that, then you can opt for the scheduled trigger based logic app. So just let me just refresh it, and meanwhile I can just pick a questions from the chat window that or logic app and the Power Automate are same. The answer is no, they are not same. They are having altogether different flavor. The first thing, logic app is the PaaS offering, like platform as a service. At the same time, Power Automate or the previously called flows are the SaaS model, SaaS offering from the Microsoft. So the platform itself is different. The second thing I would say, like Logic App is more meant for the pro developers, but at the same time, like the Power Automate meant for more business or the citizen developers. So anybody can come and just make their hands dirty there. So it's not required your pro developer skills there, hopefully. The another difference I would say in terms of the licensing plan, because for Azure you need a subscription to use that one. For Power Automate you need a like a Power Platform licenses. So that is the another difference. Internally, I would say Logic App is a kind of the big brother for the Power Automate, because Power Automate uses the Logic App engines to execute that one, and like then there are a lot of other options available too in terms of the difference. So in short, the answer is yeah, they both are not same. I would just give a pause here. Just to let me start with. Next question is, why not extend the out-of-box integration functionality with Dynamic 365 CE? What are the benefits? So as I told earlier, like there are no fixed solution for any problem. The only thing you should know about all the offerings. So if there are 5 offerings available to automate your task or to execute your task, we should know all of them, because every offerings have their pros and cons. So if I just need to use my own logic here, I need to monitor more on that one. Probably I would use Logic App in that case. So in the Logic App also, like there are 2 different connectors available for the Business Central. The first one is you can use the out-of-box Business Central connectors, which is available there. And the second one is you can use then with the OData or the REST APIs. So I would preferably not use the out-of-box connectors, Logic App connectors for now. The reason is very simple, because there was a discussion with one of the customer, and they don't want to use the preview features. So all the connectors which is available to connect with the Business Central in the Logic App are in the preview stage. And because as you know, as per the Microsoft guidelines, you can't they can't support the preview offerings. So and customers somehow is not satisfied with this statement, so they don't want to use the preview feature. The second thing is with the preview or out-of-box connectors, you will not get the custom fields. So if you added few things with your AL language to the Business Center, like introducing new fields or something, that will not be popped up in your custom connectors. So you can get those things via this OData services. I hope that answers. Okay, my system is really slow, or the network, I don't know, maybe a lot of guys watching movies or Saturday morning. I will just give one more try. If not, then I will probably give you more glance on that one. Okay. So meanwhile it is opening, I will just come back here to show the Logic App, like the basic stuff. So because anyway, I'm not going to do any complex stuff right now on the Logic App, so I could park this stuff. So let's move to the Business Central system. So with Dynamic 365, you can create connected apps, like everybody know. And connected apps stabilized a point-to-point connection between the Dynamic 365 Business Central and the third-party solutions or the services. And it typically created using a standard OData and the REST APIs to interchange your data. So let's see where I can just go and see in the business central, like related with the auditor offerings or the web services. So if you're on the business central, you just go to the search here and just type the web services. And you will get the list of all the web services available here. So just give a second to load it. So this is all the web services available. You can just go and search for anything. Like an example, if I just need something for the debitor, so you can get the OData v4 URL, then you get the OData URL at very next to it, and this is v3 and the SOAP URL. So you can consume any one of them based on your requirement. For my demo purpose, I used OData v4 URL. And for the session specific. The next thing, yes, you have the OData URL available with you, but where's the security mechanism? Like if I can get it, can I just like fire and just upload the data and get the data? No, you need a proper authentication for that one. And for that, actually, you just need to reach out to the users to access the tokens. So you just need to type users. You can get the list of all users here. Okay, so suppose if I just go and use my user there for now. And here you get the web service access key. So in this particular section, you will get a text box here, which will give you the key for the web services. And at the same time, it will be having the expiry date if you set for that one. So the idea is like you can just second, you can just go and get it from here. And then basically like you can use in your calls, even from the Logic app or for any of the tool. I will show you now how. The next important thing, if you need to copy this, even if your screen is small, like especially if you're working from the laptop screen or something with less resolution, you can't just copy like this to drag and drop. The way which I used to prefer, I just right click, inspect element, like a browser capability, inspect element, copy the key from there and then use it in my code. Because the problem is that like if you see, okay, there's a text box, why can't you open and then copy it from there? So the concern is here, like the moment you will open this, it will regenerate your key. And if you already referred the key somewhere in your Logic apps or the codes, anywhere in the system or integration systems, that key will be invalid then in that case. So be very cautious about that one. Don't open this if you really don't want to regenerate your key. So that is the stuff here. Now, like as I show you the endpoints, like the services. So please remember that there are the different limits for any of the OData or the SOAP request, like API rate limits. And usually we get the HTTP response code 429 when we make too many requests, and it returns if the limits are exceeded. And what are those limits for the OData and the SOAP? So for both OData and SOAP in the sandbox, it's a 300 requests per minute. And in the production, it's a 600 requests per minute. So we need to really consider about these things. Otherwise, you will get a request timeout. The second one, like HTTP response code 504, you might get sometimes. And the gateway timeout is returned when your request is exceeded 10 minutes execution time. So if you requested something, you are not like your request is running, and it took 10 minutes, then you will get this error code. So there is also something for the connection. So the maximum connection numbers of simultaneously OData or SOAP request. So there is again a limit for that, and HTTP response code you will get 4 to 9 if there are too many requests is returned if the limit has exceeded. So again, for OData, the limit is for 100 and the SOAP is also for the same. Now, the next thing is like, I would just quickly pop up my Postman for now here. So this is a simple call to get my companies in from the Business Central. So I can just click it here. Hopefully I should get a response here. And then you will get the list of all of your companies available there. So I'm using for now the Postman because I think my Logic apps are really super fast today. I don't know why, but I don't bother about that. So I have a Postman. I can use that too. And what what is important here? This this IDs and how you can get it. So again, you need to go to your business center. Like for the company ID, you need to go to the business center. I would go out from here. And on the top, you can get the ID for there. So you can just copy this ID, and it is definitely the Jew ID, and it will be unique for every companies. And then you can use it for there. And then you will get the list for all of your companies here, and then you can get the IDs as well. Why I have shown you, because it's really important. From the next example, you will see you can pass either the company name or the company ID as a header parameter or the in the URL, because your URL built on that one. If you need very specific from that particular company, I will show you just in just a moment. But the important thing, if you're using the name, if somehow the name got changed, then you will definitely get the errors in that case, and especially if it is on some, like you already referred to the multiple places, it's really hard to manage in that case. So my personal recommendation, always use the ID for that, because this is not going to change it until unless your companies will be there. It's always be available in the same fashion. So just let quickly check if I got something here. Okay, not as usual today. Honestly, I don't know why. Let's just go and check a few more parameters there. So an example, if I just need all the customer from my system, so how my the call look like, the API call. So you have some of the basics there, which is always PC. So the current version which I'm using v2.0, then your the ID which I have just shown you. Because I'm using everything on the sandbox, so I just need to pass the sandbox here. I'm using the OData v4, which I communicated earlier, then company, and what specific company I'm targeting for. So I'm targeting for the specific company sandbox in there. And this is my call for to get the customer. Like this, you can get it actually the same thing from here. Just a minute, let me just show you back. I have shown you the services, and you can get the same URL from there. Yes. So if you search for your debitor, you will get a URL, and you just need to use this URL. But as I told, like here by default, you will not get the ID. You will get the name. I would refrain not to use the name. Use the ID instead of. Okay, quickly. Sure. So I just passed it. Uh, like I just hit it. I should get all the customers available for my org, and here I go. So, but at the same time, if I just need a very specific customer from my org, I don't need to do anything except passing one additional parameter at the end, which is the customer number in that case. The same goes for the vendors, and same goes for every entity which is available there, like for the list, for the sales order, and every stuff. So it will give you the page data along with that. So in this particular case, I just got the specific record for the particular ID or particular number. Now move to the next. So one more important thing, like now I'm moving toward the webhooks, because there are two ways. Like if you need to push the data from CRM to the Business Central, CRM have triggers, and which is not in the previous state. So you can use out of box connectors there. But at the same time, if you need to move data on the change of the Business Central records, like if something modified or created in the customers or the items or vendors anywhere, and you need to get a trigger point for that one. So as I told earlier, like the first option, you can use out of box connectors with limitations, which I have explained you. The second thing, you can actually create the webhooks for that one. And how you can create the webhook. So firstly, just let check with the subscription here, like what all the subscription I have. So maybe for the beta, I don't have any subscription. And here's a really one important point which I need to emphasize. Don't use beta version now because it is not officially supported after April 2020. So if you will run this, you will get the response, but it's not recommended. And you need to really move to V1.0 as soon as possible. So just let's see the another example with the same call with the V1.0, which is not the beta version, and you should able to get the response for that one. So this is really important. And if you can see here, I just registered one of the webhooks on the item entity here. And like if any changes happen in the item records, if the new record is created, updated, or deleted, I will get a notification for that one. Uh, like it will capture and it will just proceed as per the requirement. But the important thing here, like if you registered any of the subscription here, please note that there is an expiration date and time for any of your webhook subscription, and you need to automate that one. Either you need to go manually, just update with the patch, or you need to write some logic app scheduled base, which will be just keep updating your webhook subscription on every 2 days. So it will expire in 3 days. Like if you can see here, it created on 22, but it will expire on 25. So the moment you will patch it, you will renew it, it will again go for next 3 days. So this is really important. Okay. And if you're not doing so, then you will get some error for that one. And the another important thing, it just not creating the subscription. It also depend, like because you subscribe it, you created a webhook, then you have to consume it, because internally what happened in Business Central, they create a pool for that one. They lock the record for those specific period until list you will not popped out the particular notification from that table. So you need to fire your event, and then you need to consume it and release the notification from there. So what I did, I just created a simple HTTP trigger based as a function. You can get the code over the Google as well. I modified few things because I need to consume, like I just need to push my every changes to the another logic app, so I can handle that. So I created another logic app and just pass the URL for that one. And this is somehow my Azure functions look like. So if you need this code, you can ping me out. I can just give you. So it's really important. Like the moment you will run this, you will get everything pop out to your particular logic app. And example on this particular logic app, I just consumed, and this was the logic app which I just mentioned and the referred here. So if for any of the changes, I'm trying to push everything on this particular logic app. Hopefully I can show you at least the run, if not edits. Okay, so something bad happened. I'm sorry for that one with my either network or maybe with this particular instance. So it's really working so slow today. Okay. And by the time it is loading, I can just quickly show you. So I just need the specific URL for that particular function, because for sure I need to just trigger this HTTP while subscribing it for the new notification or the webhooks. So I can get the function URL from here. I just copy it. And if you can go back to your Postman, I can show you where I did refer it. So this is the notification URL, and this is particularly the webhook URL which I have created over the HTTP Azure functions. So you need to pass it. It means if any of your changes happening in your system, Business Central system, it will notify to this particular URL, and then you write your logic, your code here to pick everything from that list and then push it to the to the other Azure functions, or maybe the other Azure logic apps, whatever you wanted. But you need to release that one. Otherwise, the record will be locked for a few duration, and there will be bad impact on the system if you're not releasing that one, because that's what we encountered. So let's quickly go there. if I can see. Okay, hopefully I can able to see the runs. That is good. At least I can able to see the runs for now. So by the time I would quickly check on the chat window if there is any specific question. Or this session recorded video available in somewhere. Yes, it will be available on the social media of 365 Saturdays, like over the LinkedIn and other places. How should we get an image data from the Business Central to API Postman? Should we need to manually convert base64? Yes, you need a conversion for that one for sure. The session recorded. Okay. Okay, no further question. Okay, not sure guys. So probably I would move a bit for that one. And I would just try to just emphasize, okay, webhooks actually supported few of the common entities like an account, employees, item, customers, sales orders, sales code, sales invoices, vendors, something like that. So this is really important to understand, like webhook don't support on every other entities. So there are supported entities, you will get it over the documentation of the APIs, and you need to use that one. If you're using the webhook on non-supported entities, you will get an exception for that. You can't register the webhooks. Okay. By the time it is loading, I can just show from the Postman. So what I will do, like this is the one part which I have shown you in the Business Center, like from where you can get the URLs, how you can get the user tokens. I have shown you in the Postman like how you can just pass those information if you need get calls, post call, patch, or delete anything from there. The next thing I would now move to the CRM system. So the requirement is like the business requirement was if I created any account or some records in the CRM, it need to be pushed to the Business Central. So in that case, I would go to my CRM system here. And hopefully it should work. It should not behave like a Azure portal. So the thing is that like on the CRM, the moment I will create a new account, then it will triggers based on the polling trigger on in my Logic app. And from the Logic app, basically it will go to the like it will just complete all of the business logic there. Like if account type is creditor or debitor, then choose as like appropriate URL or data URL for that one, and then make a call, create a record or something like that. So what I did, I will just trigger one more record here and we'll see how it's work. I have already created one record just before starting the session. If this is still Azure Logic App will be slow, I can show in a sample data that one. So example 365. So for now, I just put one value there. You can use as much of as values available here. But the main thing what you need to consider here, that you need to complete the data mapping exercise. So an example email one field here should go to the specific email field in the Business Central, and that data mapping you need to complete it in your like it's exercise. It's not out of box that you just put the email and it will directly go to the email. So you need to pass in the JSON value, key value parameters, those things. So I just created one 365 record here. I would go in the Business Central. I would for now I would just go and see this. If the record is created, it will take some time, but by the time I would just open the vendor here. So I'm just pushing it from the like from account to the vendor in Business Central. So just a second. And I would refresh it. Okay, I will just give one more try. Is there any further questions? Can quickly check it. Yes, there are. Okay, so probably it's not network, it's my system behaving so slow because I can't even see the queries. So if anyone have a query or the chat window, maybe they can unmute and they can ask for now till it is loading. Okay, then probably I will move to the next slide then. Um, I will I will just recheck if it will still work. I can show you. Otherwise, I'm sorry for that one because I can't do anything there until as the portal will not load it properly. So the next is what is more important here. Now let's see some of the key points which you should always consider when you are planning for the Azure Logic app. So okay, I will start it, but there's a question for Harish Kumar, more about authentication on Postman. So what is your specific question, Harish? If you can type or maybe you can unmute and ask. Um, I still don't understand like more about authentic authorization. Are we using web service key? Yes, we are using the web service key. I can show you, like you need to go to the authorization. So currently it is inherited from the parent, but yes, if you can use it like a basic authentication from here. So your username and then your keys, exactly the web service key. So you need to pass it here and it will run. If you're not passing this, you will get a like exception or the errors returned from the server. Uh, okay, okay. So there are no further question. Let's start with that. So point one, I should disable or delete the logic apps if I'm not using that. So that I can show you because that don't require the run. Second, so just let me just pop up any of the logic app if I can see it here. So here you get an option to disable and delete. And why it is really important to find the difference in both of them. The first thing, if you're not going to use furthermore your logic apps, please delete it. Don't disable it because you are still having the connections available with your environments, either it's a CRM or the business center or anything, and it will still create the pools for that one. So an example like I had to upload the data from like the Excel import in Dynamics CRM system. I imported around a couple of thousands data via Excel import. Before that, I disabled it. So my assumption was, okay, I disabled it, logic app disabled, and then nothing will happen. No further execution will be happen in the logic app. That's true for the moment till it was disabled. But the moment I enabled the logic app back, it started executing for all of those triggers. Like my trigger was create the create data, like a create records in CRM for the particular entity. And because Excel import also create the data for that one. And because it's matched with the specific conditions, it has started creating or executing my logic apps. So this is really important when you just when you are gonna decide finally, okay, I'm not gonna use on this logic app furthermore, so please delete it, don't keep it, don't disable it. That is the one thing. The another thing, whenever you are disabling it or deleting it, so there's a difference. Like if some logic app are already running off and then you disabled it, it will hold till the queue will not clear. So it will not stop immediately. But at the same time, if you delete it, then it will take some time. Maybe if the thousands run are already in progress, it will take some times, or if it is in queue to cancel it, but it will cancel it. It will not finish it. It will cancel it, and then it will delete your logic app. If you deleted your logic app, you can't recover it back. So it's always advised to just go to the logic app code views, fetch the data and store it somewhere. Or maybe the another option is to just import it. So that is the thing which is important. How to deal with the asynchronous and the synchronous request. I can give you the overview for that one, because for that I should show the steps for that. How does it matter? But in that particular case, like you can, if you can just make your HTTP calls, because there is an HTTP action available in your logic apps, even it is in Power Automate also. So those HTTP actions can run as an async process or async calls or the synchronous request as well. So my advice is, if you know that, okay, you need to wait for the response of your call, and then you need to calculate something, or you need to make your business decision on the base of the outcome from that call, then always make it as a synchronous request. Because what happened the moment it, by default it is asynchronous. So the moment you just make a async call, an example, you just make 3 calls, A, B, and C, system will not give you the guarantee that you will get the response for A, then B, and then C in a normal way. So maybe you got a response from C, then B, and then A. So you need to be very wise in that thing. The clone functionality, which I have explained here, like there's a button for the clone on the top. What you can achieve it, like an example, you are preparing the data for the dev environment, you are all set to go for the test, you just clone it and create a new logic app. You don't need to just go and create new resource, adding all the action. No, you don't need to do this. You can just clone it, change the name from dev to prod or dev to test, something like that, and then clone it. I would try it if it will work here. For now, I'm not sure if even if I can get the option for this or not. Okay, the good part is I'm getting the option for this. So you can give the name here, whatever the name you need to mention. And then the important aspect here, if you're cloning this, then please make your logic app status as a disable. Why? Because the moment you clone, your all the connection is also get cloned. Like example, for the dev environment, you have a connections for your CRM or the business intel with the dev instance. That will also be cloned, and this you don't need it. So disable it, clone it, and then go and just change the connections, and everything is okay. You are ready to go after that one. So that is related with the clone functionality. The timeout property is again important. Like if you're making any of the calls, the timeout is really important. Like you can't just wait for that one. So there is a property available on the Logic App settings for the particular actions. If you're making HTTP calls or something, so those particular actions you can actually set the timeout properties. The same with the concurrency control. So by default, the concurrency is on, like it can go exponentially. So if you are running a loop, like it can execute all of them HTTP calls in the loop, maybe simultaneously. But if you don't need it for some business requirement, you can just enable the concurrency, and then like by default it's 25 set to 25, so you can just set from 1 to 50. So if you need a very iterative way, like one by one, then always set to 1, and then the loop will go one after one in that case. Automated retry is also available, so please use that. It is available with every like every action which is meant for that one, like an example HTTP based actions. And don't forget to save the logic app. So an example, if I'm editing something, you should always hit to the save button on the top on the designer window. There are two specific reasons for that one. If you are not saving that, uh, there would be a situation like you won't able to get the live errors. So you started from your day, like of your day, by creating the logic app. You are in mid of the day, and then you saved and you saw the error. Then it's really hard to find out, okay, which exactly portion, because for me actually the error are not very informative. So it's always good if you are making some changes, save it and then proceed it further. Or the second really important aspect here, if you forget to save it, next day if you come to your like to your workstation and you saw the page, the because Azure would be like there will be the session timeout, and then you need to refresh the page and you will lost all of the changes. So that for that reason also it's really important to save that one. Then you can roll back. Yes, you can roll back. So suppose there is a version available there. You can go to the particular version. You can select any of the version from the list. Definitely not the first one, because first one you can't get the option for the promote. But if you have something more in the list, you can just choose that and then you will get a button here to promote. Why this is important? So suppose the team is working and till today evening, everything is working fine. Then someone came on the Tuesday morning and they said, okay, it's not working right on the Tuesday morning as expected. And it's really hard to get a track of the changes. So the best way is that like you can go to the till the last checkpoint where whenever it was working and then promote the build. The downside is definitely you will lose the changes what you did in between of those duration. So those that is really again important aspect. Uh, you can implement the try catch functionality, and there are a lot of videos available from our community ambassadors. You can just go and check it out for that one, how you can implement the try catch functionality. So you need to use the scopes blocks for that, and then you need to play around the configuration run after. So there is a property for that one. You just need, and it's really important because out of box logic app don't give you the try catch functionality, and it's really important, believe me, if you are going with the enterprise integration or something, because if something got failed, it need to be notified to the other guy or to some of the team members that okay, it is getting failed on this location. So you can trigger the emails, you can capture this and you can roll back the other stuff. Like in example, you are creating you created the record on 5 business central instances, but your expectation what it should be created on all the 15 business central instances, but it failed. And then you don't need to go with the half cooked data, so you can just roll back the remaining data. You can go and delete it from the previous runs. So this is one important thing. Don't cache the password, because an example, I use the password for that the web service token for my user, and don't hard code it in the logic app anywhere. So always recommended use the keywords for that and directly consume that in your logic app step. So don't even cache in some variable like people usually do, that they cache the any response from servers or any data in variable, then they can they use at the multiple places, but don't do that one. So it's not the right way, specifically with the cache, because anyone can go and see it over the run history. The another important aspect is in the run history for any of your uh, actions, there is an option to secure input and secure output. So I would definitely love to show that one, but unfortunately it's not working. So I need to tell you theoretically. So you can have an option to just secure it, secure input and output, and I would recommend that one. And then your inputs and output will not visible to anyone. There is no way to retrieve that one. The same is goes to like comments. So example, if you are using you are adding any action, even your trigger points or anything, there is an option for the comment on the top of the action, like top of the action. Please use that feature, because if you really build a complex logic app here, it's really like I would say it's messed up and it's really hard to find out, okay, what action is doing what. And especially if your logic app contain a lot of action inside that one. So that is again one of the important aspect which we should know and aware about that one. There are some of the useful information available. You can go and check it out related with the Logic app and the Business Central APIs. And you can definitely reach out to me on my social media accounts via LinkedIn or Twitter. You can ask any of the queries there. I would be happy to just create a demo for this session, like the practical demo, and publish over the YouTube. So I can refer it again, like you can just come and watch it, and I will do it very quickly because unfortunately I can't show you the the practical stuff which I was supposed to do. Very quickly, I just check it in the Business Central because I created one record. I just need to check it if somehow it's created or not in the Business Central. So I created in with the name of 365 Saturdays Germany, and I just need to check it if it is created or not, or maybe there would be delay because environment is slow. So let's quickly check it. But I'm open for any of the question, guys. Like if you have any question, please unmute and ask it. And I would be happy to answer very quickly because I'm already exceeding 3 minutes. So maybe Raj, you can help me out if there is any question on the chat window because I can't see the chat window. It's hanged for me.
Hi, yes. So currently there are no questions, and yes, we are out of time for this session. But look, thank you very much once again for this session. Obviously, it's a